Greetings, everyone. You are tuned into the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. I'm your host, retired Master Sergeant 20. Thank you for all your continued support. Appreciate everything as we continue to move forward. I hope yesterday was a great day for you, and I hope today is better than yesterday, right? Here on a Thursday, on a sneaker story on a Thursday. But I want to open it up with my opening remarks. Today is the 11th of November, 2021. And it is Veterans Day. So I definitely want to give thanks and I appreciate all the veterans for their service. I know Memorial Day is, all about the veterans sacrifice for the good of the country and their particular branch of service. But I just want to say for Veterans Day, appreciate all the veterans out there doing the things that they need to do to be successful. I fall in that category as well. My wife falls in that category and everyone that's involved. Appreciate all you guys' service. Thank you for everything that you've done for the greater good of this country, for the greater good of yourself, for the greater good of the family. So appreciate it. All praises due. All right. So yesterday was November 10th. And, I talked about the Rick Ross thing with the whole $10 million. And I didn't mention in my opening remarks that it was the Marine Corps birthday. And I forgot that it was the Marine Corps' birthday on November 10th. Well, I shouldn't say I forgot, but I just I didn't remember, right? It was so much going on. So I want to also say happy birthday to my fellow Devil Dogs, my fellow Hard Chargers, my fellow Marines. Definitely, it was happy birthday. A good birthday, Marine Corps birthday. Every year, November 10th, we celebrate the birthday. I miss going to the Marine Corps balls. Me and my wife put on our dress uniforms and all that. So definitely want to be I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that. So happy birthday to the Marines as well. I noticed in the news, it's a SpaceX launch. I think it happened probably about 10 hours ago, 11 hours ago. And whenever a space shuttle or any type of spacecraft, space apparatus, whatever it is, whenever it's launched into orbit, right, and for whatever mission they're getting ready to conduct, I always think about going back to 1986. And if you remember, 1986 was the Challenger explosion. And I remember I was going to St. Bridget. It was a private school in Detroit at the time. And I remember we were watching that. It just got new TVs installed in our classrooms. I think the channel was like TV One or something like that. And I remember we was watching the actual space shuttle. We watched it take off. We listened to the news reporters talking about the journey and some of the tasks they was getting ready to conduct while they were in space and everything. And they had pictures of all the astronauts, everyone that was on board, from the astronauts to the support personnel and everybody, right? It had a live feed at NASA. And then, it launched and end up, exploding in the air. But I always think about that whenever I see or hear about a space shuttle getting ready to orbit. I always think about it I was 12 years old when that happened. And I remember just watching that and we were excited. This is the first time where, for one, we had TVs in our classroom, and just to be able to watch that on TV, it was like, man, this is cool. This is monumental, man. I'm never going to forget it. And, that unfortunate incident happened where it exploded. And I remember, for me personally, and as well as my classmates and even my teacher, we was just like, and I remember it was like just silence. And then the school administrators, they shut the TV off, and we had talked about it for a little bit, and then they sent all the kids home. So I remember that, man, 1986. So again, I didn't want to make this a somber note, but it's just something I was thinking about whenever I see those space shuttles getting ready to go into orbit, launch into orbit. I always think about that. All right, so opening remarks complete. So today is Sneaker Stories on a Thursday, and I have a sneaker story about a shoe that I probably shouldn't have bought, but I bought it anyway, and it was during school hours. I was a student at this school, McKenzie High School, which is no longer in Detroit. It's torn down. Like a lot of the high schools there are torn down. But I should have had my butt in school doing schoolwork instead of catching all these buses around Detroit to buy this shoe, I almost got in trouble and all the etc. So I'm gonna tell that story. Sneaker stories on the Thursday, the 11th of November, 2021. Stay tuned, stay locked, and also after the sneaker stories, after I wrap up the weekend review, if you will, I'm going to give you guys some notes about how I plan on progressing this Nomad Cast, this podcast, and moving forward. There's some things I want to talk about, where my vision is at. I'm changing my intent of the channel and everything. So make sure you stay tuned and listen for that at the end of the sneaker stories on the Thursday. Stay tuned, stay locked. We next. All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. Thank you. I want to, in the intro, I didn't mention, if you're new to this channel and you're watching this and you like what you see, please click the subscription button, subscribe, the bell icon. It's 30. This is episode 32. So this is episode 32. So it's 32 episodes to kind of watch this and see how the channel has grown. I think I've made a lot of improvements. And then, like I mentioned in the opening remarks, after the sneaker story on the Thursday, I'm going to talk about my way ahead for the channel, some of the things that I want to do, some of the things that I want to change going forward. So I'll talk about that when it's time. But yeah, just click the subscription, like, make comments, all the etceteras. Appreciate it. All right, so I'm going to talk about a certain shoe that came out in 1992, and I was what was I in 1992? I think I was a junior. I was working at White Castle at the time, and more importantly, I was in high school at David McKenzie High School in Detroit, Michigan. It was on Wyoming Avenue between Chicago and Joy Road, and the school is no longer there. It got torn down in 2011, I think it was, maybe 12. And there was a somber time at that high school because I was a recruiter in Detroit. And I remember I was supposed to go to a high school presentation because I had all the east side high schools in Detroit, and McKenzie was on the west side. So when I found out that they was tearing down McKenzie, shoot, I skipped my event, which was I was supposed to be on per Army regulation. And I went to my former high school. I ended up getting a couple bricks from there as well. So a lot of my families went to McKenzie as well. So yeah, McKenzie High School, man. Trust and believe. All right, so the reason I mention all that, to kind of give you the backstory, is this particular day, and I want to say it was like a Thursday or Friday. And I remember seeing the commercial a week prior to that. It was a commercial with Spike Lee and Tim Hardaway. So everyone knows Spike Lee. He's a well-known director, avid New York Knicks fan. He directed She's Gotta Have It, some of the Michael Jordan, Air Jordan commercials. He directed Malcolm X, School Days. I mean, so many classic movies. If you get a chance, watch those. And he directed a commercial with Tim Hardaway. Tim Hardaway, originally from Chicago, but at the time he was playing with the Golden State Warriors. And he wore a shoe called the Nike Air Raid. The Nike Air Raid. And this shoe was really supposed to be developed for playing basketball on the court outside. The original intent was not to make it was not supposed to be a indoor basketball shoe. And I'm going to show you the detailed inscription. It's supposed to be an outdoor shoe. But nonetheless, a week prior to this monumental event in my life, I saw the commercial and I was like, boom, I got to get them. Because, back in the day, whenever we wanted, whether shoes, clothes, or whatever, we had to watch the commercial or we had to wait for the magazine to come out. And I remember Nike, I think they used to publish like a magazine that was embedded in some of the other advertisements, right? And East Bay was out. A couple of other books was out as well, or magazines you can kind of flip through. And, back in the day, you had to get the order form and call the operator and all this stuff, right? And I saw these Nikes and I was like, typical Damon fashion. I got to have them. So I came up with the idea that following week on a Thursday to, you know what? Instead of going to school that day, I'm going to catch the bus and go get these shoes and then wear them in school and rock them, right? Because, back then, just like everybody else, man, you skipped school, you did certain things. And, this was before the days of cell phones and you can't really track people. So it's amazing now. Think about it. How were we able to get around without being undetected? But it's like we got so much accomplished. So anyway, on that note, I'm going to show you the Nike Air Raid, and then I go ahead and segue into the actual story. And just to give you a little history. So these are the Nike Air Raids, again, size 10. So I bought these on StockX, store in Detroit, which is headquartered in Detroit, right? Don't mind the background noise, just drop the box. So these are the Nike Air Raids that came out in 1992. And I've worn these, I think, one time. And you probably said, well, God dog, man, every time you show a shoe, you've worn it one time. Now, this is what I want to talk about, what it says for outdoor use only. These shoes originally was designed for urban areas where they were only supposed to play basketball outdoors. The original intent wasn't supposed to be indoors. And you can see, even on the sole, if you look on the bottom, for outdoor use only. And it has the Air Raid lettering. And you look at these shoes, the bottom, the sole is very thick, which is consistent of basketball shoes back in those days, particularly outside. And it has the Air Raid inscription on the side. And then you unloosen this strap and you unloosen the other strap here. And there you have it. So what it's designed to do is to keep that forefoot secure while you're playing ball and you're moving around. Because anybody that's played basketball on a court or anybody that's played basketball on the outside, you can definitely tell the difference, right? So it was a fun shoe. And when they finally re-released it, I had to get it. Because, I get to the point now where I'm trying to get all these shoes back that I used to have back in the day. And now I have the opportunity and the resources to get them. So I don't have to rely on my White Castle money to get these shoes. So it's definitely a good deal. I'm probably going overboard on a lot of these things. And then you see the tongue, the Nike Air right here. But this is a very fun shoe. I was so happy when they brought it out. This is the original color. But Tim Hardaway wore these shoes in 1992. The Nike Air Raid was originally, the original tent was for outdoor use only. Only supposed to be outdoors. And consistent with the Nike brands, the little hook in the back to help you secure it on your foot. Very fun shoe. Always loved this shoe, man. The Nike Air Raid. So I want to tell you a story about the Nike Air Raid. So this was on a Thursday way back in 1992. And I was supposed to be in school, right? So I came up with this genius idea that I formulated in my room. And you know how the evil scientist, I'm going to go get me some shoes tomorrow instead of going to school. It was so dangerous back then. A lot of things could have happened to me. And I missed a couple close calls on that trip. So I went to bed that night knowing I was not going to be in school that day, at least in the morning. My plan was to get these shoes and rock them like in the afternoon part of the school, right? Because, it was all about, yo, I can't believe you got these. Yo, when you get these, all that, right? Just wanted the attention. So I got on the bus. I used to leave my house like at about 7:20 to get on the Wyoming bus, right? To go to high school because my high school was right off Wyoming Avenue. So what I did, instead of going towards the direction of my high school, young Damon Anderson got on the Wyoming bus going towards daggone 8 Mile, right? So if you look at the map, it's Wyoming. You have Wyoming going like this, and then you can catch the bus north going to 8 Mile, and then you go to 8 Mile. It's either east or west, right? And 8 Miles what separates the city of Detroit from the suburbs. I mean, there's other separation zones, but that's the main one. And so I'm on the Wyoming bus, and I'm headed to Eastland. This is probably about 8 o'clock in the morning, and the mall's open at 9 o'clock. So it was good. And the mall I was planning on going to was Eastland Mall, which was in Harper Woods, Michigan, on the eastern side of Michigan. So I'm on the bus and I see my friends on the other side. They like waving like, yo, you ain't coming to school today? And I'm like, nah, I'll see y'all later. I'll see y'all later. Because my plan was to go to the mall to get these freaking air raids and come back to school that afternoon and rock them. You know what I mean? Such a way of thinking back then. So I'm on the bus, and you know, this is not a school bus. I'm on a city bus with all these people people working and everybody. So you dealing with a bunch of grown people and all sorts of people on these Detroit buses, right? Just like any inner city. So I'm on the bus. And finally, the Wyoming bus, I get to freaking 8 Mile. So right now, it's probably about maybe 8:50, 8:45. And the mall didn't open till 9 o'clock. So I'm like, shoot, I'm good. But once you get to 8 Mile in Wyoming, I still have to wait for the 8 Mile bus to take me all the way to Eastland, right? So I'm at the bus stop on the corner of Wyoming and 8 Mile, waiting on the bus. All these sorts of people kind of walking around me. They kind of looking at me like, man, this dude should be in school. So the 8 Mile bus finally comes around. So I get on the 8 Mile bus, and these buses got so many stops in between. Again, I'm on West 8 Mile, right? I'm not even hitting the east side of 8 Mile yet. So I'm on the bus rolling. You got my little headphones on. I'm listening to Tribe Called Quest and all that. Just chilling. So I finally make it to Eastland, and this was probably maybe 9:20, 9:30, somewhere in there. And go up in the Eastland. My plan is to get these shoes, man, to get these air raids, and I'm set. So I go in freaking Eastland, go to the Foot Locker, and I was like, yo, do y'all got the new air raids? There's, oh, man, Young Blood. You know, they call everybody Young Blood back then. Young Blood, we sold out of those yesterday, but we got a new shipment coming in next week. You know, you can come back next week. So now I'm like, okay, I'm all the way at freaking Eastland Mall, almost 9:30, 10 o'clock on a school morning. Well, my butt should be way back on the west side at freaking McKenzie. I should be in freaking school. And I'm catching all these buses going to get these freaking shoes. So now I'm disappointed. And now I'm like almost kind of nervous. Like, man, what do I do now? Because my whole intent waking up this morning was not to go to freaking school. It was to go get these shoes so I can rock them in school. So he was like, let me call the freaking the Northland store. Now, Northland is on the western side of 8 Mile in a city called Southfield, right? I'm in Harper Woods at Eastland. So he called the Northland store and there's, oh yeah, we got like 5 pair left. So he was like, yo, my man, you know, I don't know how you got here. He said, but if you go to freaking Northland, they got a pair. So I'm like, bet. Now I'm running into a problem because now the buses are not running as frequent now, right? Because a lot of people have already been to work and the bus schedules kind of, you know, fluctuate throughout the day. So now I walk all across the street, get on the freaking bus, and I'm waiting on the freaking bus, So now this is like almost 10 o'clock. I didn't get on that bus till like almost, man, it had to be like almost 11 o'clock, 10:45 or somewhere in there. But now I have to catch the Eastland bus in Harper Woods, Michigan, to go all the way down 8 Mile to Southfield, Michigan, where Northland was at, right? So I'm on the bus, and that's a little ways away. If you look at a map from if you take a map of 8 Mile in Michigan and you go Harper Woods to Southfield, that's a little ways away. Even driving a car is a little ways away. Imagine being on the bus where you got to stop at all these stops. But I'm like, bet. So I'm on the bus listening to Tribe Called Quest. I'm thinking in my head, okay, boom, I still can make it to school today, right? And then my man said that these air raids are in freaking Northland. It's 5 pair left. Ain't nobody gonna be buying no shoes this morning because people should be in school and people should be at work. So I'm good. What a way to think. So I'm on a bus. So finally I get to freaking Northland. Now it's like almost, and it had to be like 11 o'clock, 11:30. I know it was close to noon because traffic had started picking up because it was almost lunchtime. So I get off the freaking the 8 Mile bus, and once you get off the 8 Mile bus at freaking Greenfield, which is where Northland was right off the street, right off it, you could just walk to freaking Northland. So I walk into Northland, kind of walked around a little bit, got to the Foot Locker, and I said, hey, man, my man, I was at freaking Eastland about an hour ago, asking about these air raids. He's like, oh yeah, we just sold the last pair like 10 minutes ago, man. The guy at the Eastland Foot Locker, he should have said the whole one, and I would have held one. I'm like, dang, dude. He's like, look, check it out. I'm going to call the freaking Foot Locker at freaking Fairlane. Now, Fairlane is in freaking Dearborn, Michigan. Man, I'm traveling all over this freaking city, going through all these freaking suburbs when I should have had my ASS in freaking Detroit at freaking McKenzie High School going to school. But I'm chasing these freaking shoes down. So he called the the Foot Locker at Fairlane. And they was like, yeah, man, we got like 50 pair left. We good. Now, I knew it was always a problem going to Fairlane, especially particularly African-American male going to Fairlane in those days and even before that, because the relationship with the city of Dearborn and some folks from Detroit, it wasn't a very, I want to say, a harmonious relationship. There was a lot of things that used to happen. You can read the news titles and all that, right? And so I knew I was taking a chance because I knew like the Dearborn police will always look for people that was potentially skipping school and just messing with people. So I knew I was taking that chance, but at the end of the day, I'm dug in too deep now because I done caught the Wyoming bus to freaking 8 Mile, got on the 8 Mile bus and went to freaking Eastland. They didn't have these shoes. So now I'm on the freaking Eastland bus going down to freaking Northland and they didn't have these shoes. So I'm like, shoot, I'm about to go to Fairlane, which is another mall. So Eastland is closed now. Northland is closed now, but Fairlane is still open, right? Probably one of the nicer malls during that time in Michigan. So now I'm waiting on the freaking Greenfield bus, and all the malls had like different buses, that you can catch. So Northland was an Evergreen bus, it was the Greenfield bus, the 8 Mile bus, and some other ones, right? And so I get on the freaking Greenfield bus. So now I'm taking the Greenfield bus from Southfield, Michigan, all the way to freaking Dearborn, right? So I'm on the bus. Now 11:30 is turned into almost noon, almost 1 o'clock. And I used to get out of school like at 2:45, 3 o'clock. So I'm already cutting it close. And my mom knew what time I was coming home because she'd be looking out the window watching me, making sure I got home, right? So now I know I'm cutting it close. So I'm on the freaking Greenfield bus, right? Getting ready to go to freaking Fairlane, where I know there could be a potential issue because a lot of the Dearborn police will be monitoring Fairlane because people used to skip school or whatever, and they'll look at you and they can tell that you're a high school student, and then they'll run up on you, in a physical manner or a mental manner. It all depends, right? So this is almost, I want to say I'm probably approaching 1 o'clock maybe. I know it's cutting close. So the Greenfield bus finally get to freaking Fairlane. I get off the freaking the Greenfield bus. I'm walking in Fairlane. I finally get the Foot Locker, and they had the air raids. You know how they have the shoes like sitting on the shelves and all that. So I see him. I say, yo, my man, because at that time I think I wore like a 7.5. I said, my man, y'all got these in the 7.5? He was like, bet, let me go back. So now I'm sitting, and this dude seems like he was in the back for like 15 years. So I'm watching all these security guards, all these freaking Dearborn police. They kind of walking around, looking around. And a Dearborn cop, he kind of looked at me. We made eye contact, but he didn't say anything to me. He just stood outside. So I'm like, I'm like, man, bump this. I said, he may try to take me to jail because, that's truancy. You're supposed to be in school. But I was like, you know what? I got to get these freaking shoes. I said, bump it. I'll take the chance. But my man is still in the back. So then he comes out with another shoe for another customer. I think there was like some Nike Cortez or something. And I'm like, yo, my man, you forget about me? He said, oh, no, I got you. I'm good. So he goes back and he's still back there. And this freaking Dearborn cop is still standing out there. And then now it's the Fairlane security guards. Now they freaking talking right in front of the Foot Locker. So I'm like, okay, I see how this is going to go. I will get these shoes and then I explain all that freaking later. So I finally get the shoe. I freaking pay for the shoe, whatever, right? I end up getting like some Nike socks and the Nike shirt and all this other mess with it, right? So I walk out. And so the guy, the police officer, the security guard had left. So the police officer came by. He said, hey, young man. He said, can I talk to you? I said, yes, sir. Yes, officer. He said, where are you supposed to be at? Are you supposed to be in school? Do you go to Fortin? Because Fortin is a high school in Dearborn. I said, no. I said, sir, honestly, I came to get these shoes. I should be in high school. Well, I should be in high school. I should be in school right now, but I'm a senior. I'm getting ready to, and I was lying. I was a junior. I was like, I'm a senior, and I'm supposed to be getting out of school in about an hour or so, but I cut class early because I want to get these shoes. And he said, let me see what shoes you got. So I'm like, that's kind of weird. You know, is he about to freaking jack me or something? So I open up the box. He's like, oh, yeah, those the air raids. He said, I got my son some of these for his basketball team. He plays basketball at Fortin, which is a high school in Dearborn. He said, all right, man. He said, I'm going to let you go. He said, I need you to be safe. He said, don't skip school, man. He said, because I could run you in right now. And I said, I appreciate it. So I dodged a freaking bullet that day, man. The dude was nice. I don't know if it's because the way I approached him. I wasn't like, get off me and just start running and any of that, because I wanted to just take off running. But I know what that would have probably led to, right? But, you know, I was like, yes, officer, no, officer. And then he wanted to see the shoe that I had. And it just so happens the shoe that I had in my box was the same shoe that he bought for his son for his basketball team. Now, what had happened if I, you know, was completely disruptive and, you know, non-apologetic and just, you know, F this, F you and all this stuff and just took off running? Or what if the shoe that I had in there didn't match the shoe that was sentimental to his son? So you look at a lot of things and you look at how life kind of alters your trajectory in terms of being mature and being in safe zones and all that. So that was one of the nuggets I looked at growing up. I was probably safe that day. I was safe that day. And, you know, we talk about the higher beings and everything. Yeah, God really looked out for me in those years, man. I trust and believe that, man. I trust and believe, right? So I finally get outside. So now I'm like, okay, it's almost like freaking 2:00. School is freaking over. All my friends, junior friends and all these, they done freaking left school or whatever, right? I cannot go back to the school and because school is going to be over by the time I get there. So I say, you know what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to catch the freaking, I'm going to chill. I'm going to catch the freaking bus and I'm going to take the bus home. And then I explained to my mama what happened. You know what I mean? Mama, this is what I did. You know what I mean? Because I was at that point in my life, man. School was not really challenging for me. I mean, it was just more of a social gathering than anything. Because, you know, I mean, you learn some stuff on the scholastic level, but it was really a social gathering to compare outfits, you know, trying to, you know, get with whoever and all this other stuff. So this coursework was, I wasn't even thinking about the coursework. So I finally get home after catching all these buses to get back home. I finally get home and my mother was like, hold on, where you been all day? And I was like, nah, you know, I went to school and everything. And my mother knew I was lying. She's like, you ain't been in school. She said, you know why you went to school? Because your science teacher, and I can't remember his name. It was either Mr. Christian or Mr. Jackson. One of them. I remember he had a glass eye. But she was like, he called and said I had missed class. And I always was missing science. I just never liked science, right? And he called and said, Damon is not in class today. So she already had the for lack of better terms, the trump card on me, right? So I was like, Mom, I went to go get some shoes. She said, where's the shoes? So I put the shoes in front of the bushes in my house. So that way, when I walk up my porch, because the way my house was, you could walk up the porch and you can see who's coming up on the porch. So my crazy butt said, you know what? Let me put these shoes in the bushes. And then when my mom goes to bed or whatever, I go back outside, get the shoebox and run upstairs. So I walk in the house and she was like, what did you go get? Because she know I went to the store, whatever. So I go outside and I show her these freaking air raids. She said, you went to the store and bought these shoes. Where did you go? You could have got kidnapped. You could have get shot, all this other stuff. And I said, Mom, I'm good. I'm good. And she went and told my father. My father was mad. And he was like, all you going to do is you ain't going to go to school. I don't even know if you're going to graduate. What are you going to school for? All you want to do is buy these gym shoes. Is that what you're going to do for the rest of your life? Is just to buy shoes all the time? Now I'm thinking, I'm like, shoot, man, this is all I do now. I'm a freaking retired master sergeant. And this is what I do. I buy freaking gym shoes. So, me and my father, we kind of laugh about this stuff, as the years has went by. I was like, man, I remember you used to skip school and buy shoes. And, I used to get mad at you for doing it. But now that's what you're doing. That's what I'm doing. I buy shoes. I had to get animated. That was kind of funny. But that's my sneaker story today, talking about those air raid freaking Nikes. 1992, man, I caught the freaking Wyoming bus to freaking 8 Mile, the 8 Mile bus to freaking Eastland. They didn't have them, so I had to catch the 8 Mile bus going to Northland. I go to the Northland Foot Locker. They didn't have them. So then I had to catch the Greenfield bus to go to Fairlane, and then they had them. Then a Dearborn police officer, ran up on me, but I was nice and contrite and, all this other stuff, respectful. And then his son, he had bought his son some of the same ones. So now we got something in common. It's like the Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown. We got something in common. So now we got something in common. And then he let me go, just gave me a warning. Hey, make sure you safe and all that. So I appreciated a lot of that, man. I spent a lot of money on these shoes. 'Cause I think when these came out in 92, I want to say these was like $120. I may be wrong, but I think there was like $120. But I was spending my White Castle money, man. I was getting paid every week at White Castle, so it was good. Yeah, the Nike freaking Air Raids. 1990 freaking 2, man. I tell you, the things that we do as a youth, if we could have had this stuff archived and videotaped for all the world to see, man, whoo, the young folks nowadays that wouldn't even know what hit them. So I'm in some instances, I'm glad we don't have that didn't have that technology. All right. So appreciate today. Sneaker stories on the Thursday. I guess the main theme is being at the right place at the right time, because a lot of things could have happened to me. I was by myself because I wanted some of my friends to go, but they said, nah, man, I'm gonna go to school, man. But let's go get them this weekend. I'm like, nah, I'll bump that. But I'm like, you know what, dummy, you could have just went this weekend, because this was on a Thursday or Friday, if I remember right. I'm like, I could have just went on the weekend and got them. Wouldn't have to be worrying about freaking catching 700 buses and, going through a lap of freaking Detroit in the outskirts. I could have just I don't know. My way of thinking back then, I tell you, man, it helped shape me who I am now, but a lot of things I did was kind of questionable. All right. So let's go ahead and segue into our weekly wrap up, our Turnaround Thursday wrap up. So episode 29 on Monday, the 8th of November, my opening remarks talked about daylight savings time and the history about daylight savings time and some of the interesting nuggets. I didn't even know about daylight savings time. I didn't know that it originated in Canada. It was popularized in freaking Germany due to the war effort trying to save fuel. I thought it was about the farmers. That's what I knew about growing up. So we talked about that. And Monday Mental Combat, we talked about ways to improve your well-being, your self-care. Gave you 6 tips to improve self-care. We talked about exercise and sleep. That was kind of co-located. Talked about meditation. Talked about reading and listening to music. That was co-located. Talking about wearing clothes that make you feel good. And the last one was to declutter your home, right? So for episode 30 on the 9th of November, talking on the Tuesday, my opening remarks was about Dr. Lucy Chen. She's a dermatologist, and she had recommendations about showering. And based on her guidance, she said you should shower 2 or 3 times a week. And, that doesn't fall in the face of being smart. To me, that doesn't lay with being healthy, because I think, shoot, you probably need to take 2 or 3 a day just to wash off everything that you've gone through during the day, whether it's waking up, midday, or whatever. And then talking on the Tuesday, talked about 4 reasons why I started this podcast. The first one was a retirement opportunity, post Army opportunity, skill development, which is I'm definitely learning the technological piece of this podcast with the editing, microphones, all this stuff. Telling the story, and it's a challenging myself. Episode 31, way back Wednesday, which was yesterday, my opening remarks, I talked about Rick Ross's comments that you need at least $10 million to be able to sustain. I disagree with that. I think you need a lot of money in your account. I think you need money in your investment portfolios, and I think you need to probably keep some as a emergency fund. But I think the normal person, the regular Joe that's out here working a 9 to 5, being a tradesman, or working in, corporate America, wherever, occupation that you're working in, I think you can make it without having $10 million. Now, $10 million in your bank account is a nice problem to have, trust and believe. But I think we have to understand what's the difference of being rich and being comfortable. And that was the main takeaway from that. And the way back Wednesday, I showed a 4-minute video of my graduation speech when I finally earned my bachelor's in Okinawa, Japan. Both me and my wife, we earned our bachelor degrees in Japan. So that was definitely great as well. And then today, talked about episode 32, opening remarks. We're talking about Veterans Day, the Marine Corps birthday, and then also the space shuttle incident back in 1986. And then I just told the sneaker stories on the Thursday about the Air Raid Nike. So I gave you a little history on that and some fun facts when I should have had my behind in school. And then the daggone teacher calling my house. How dare you call my house and tell on me? You know what I mean? So that was fun in itself. So now I want to transition to my plan for the Nomad Cast, the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast, and all etc. So today is episode 32. So this is officially season 2 of the Nomad Cast. Now, if you look back, I started this in September. So I went from 1 episode to 12 episodes. That was season 1. And then if you remember, I took a week off for fall break. So episodes 1 through 12 represented season 1. After we went to DC, Washington, DC for our fall break, I came back that following Monday, and now I began season 2. So season 2 ran from episode 13 to the current episode 32. So now what I'm going to do next week, I have multiple VA appointments. There's also my 24th wedding anniversary. And then also the week after that is the week of Thanksgiving. So this is the last episode that I will have until, mark your calendars, till 29 November. The next episode of the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast will be the 29th of November. Now, a lot of people may say, well, you taking a chance. You may lose your followers and all that. I mean, at the end of the day, I got 32 episodes to include this one that you can have, and you can kind of see the growth, the content level, see the things I've improved. My only thing I want to do for these next 2 weeks, of course, is take care of family requirements, myself, do things I have to do. But I also want to kind of look up under the hood of the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast. And there's a lot of things I want to tweak. There's a lot of things I want to change. I look at a lot of my fellow podcasters on YouTube and some of the other channels, and I'm kind of looking at some of the things that they're doing to be successful. And it's not to steal the way they're doing things, but if you look at, I don't look at these guys as a competition, because I think we all in our own lane. But I think you would be crazy if you don't look at to see what's happening. Car companies do it. Your main industries do it. Everyone looks at someone else to see as a gauge on what am I doing wrong? If I'm doing anything right, what can I improve? What should I take away? What can I add to? And I think that's what I want to do moving forward. So with the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast, I'm going to go up under the hood, and I think this needs a new coat of paint, if you will. So I'm going to have a brand new opening. new segment cards, new music. I think I'm gonna change the way it just looks. And I got a Canon DSLR camera that I use that I don't use. We just use it for vacations. But I think I'm going to attempt to start recording my content on this DSLR camera because it has HD capabilities and all that. Because right now I'm shooting on a Logitech 4K Brio. And I like the webcam because, it allows me to have that Trust and Believe Nomadcast banner. But, with the editing tools and the editing software I have, I can definitely continue to use this and come up with my own banner. So this is something I definitely want to do moving forward. Again, I just want to look up under the hood. There's some things I want to tweak, and I want to get this thing a brand new coat of paint. I like my opening, but I want to change the music. I like the color of my segment cards, but I want to change them. So I'm one of them guys. I don't stand pat with a lot of things. If you look at a lot of the historical TV shows from back in the day, each season, like you look at the Cosby Show, for example, each season was a different segment card, was a different title card. They had different music, different openings. And that's what I want to do. So again, season 3 will begin the 29th of November, 2021. Season 3, which starts episode 33. And again, I'm going to look up under the hood and get this thing a fresh new coat of paint because there's some things I just want to change. If you look at episode 1 to now, you can definitely see the transition. You can see some of the improvements, but at the end of the day, it's just like being in the military. When they talk about battlefield circulation and foxhole improvement and area beautification and all that. You can't just sit in the foxhole all day without changing. You got to continue to do things to make it better. And at the end of the day, I just want this to be better than it is. I want to start reaching out more to some of the video partners like Patron, because right now I'm only using YouTube as a video partner, but Patron is out there. It's a couple of other ones that's out there as well. They're escaping me. And then with my podcast host, I use Spreaker to distribute to Apple and Google, but I may end up changing that. So I'm looking at from the audio, I'm looking at the video, I'm looking at my distribution. How can I reach this channel to more people? And then you guys can definitely help as well. Tell a family member, tell a friend, tell a coworker. So again, I'm just going to look up under the hood and get this thing a fresh coat of paint. I want to get a new website for this. There's possibilities of having an app for this. So I just want to really make this thing because I'm giving it my all with this. This is something, I feel like this is my second career because I really like doing this. And if I really want to do this, I want to get to the point where I'm really loving what I'm doing, which I do. But I'm just using it as a transition from liking to loving. And I'm looking forward to the change, and I hope you guys like the change as well. So we'll see what we got. You see what we got. So again, episode 33 will begin the season 3 of the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast, coming at you on the 29th of November, 2021. I'm going to say it again. The next episode of the Trust and Believe Nomad Cast will be the 29th of November, 2021, and that will begin episode 33. So I want you guys to have a safe weekend. Be safe. Have a safe Thanksgiving, safe holiday time. Be safe. Take care of yourself. Do the right things. Take care of your family. Do the right things. Be positive. Be constructive. And continue to be the best person that you can be and inspire others. Peace and love. See y'all on the 29th of November, 2021, episode 33. Trust and Believe Nomad Cast.